This is the Grow Business Podcast with Cory Mosley.
It's like that afternoon energy that you gotta have, right? You gotta have this.
It's like
It's like a zen flow that you gotta get into. It's almost like you're like, it's time to start running our mouths.
There you go. Exactly.
Well, because there's no rhyme or reason. there's no rhyme or reason though to when we. Sometimes we're in the morning, sometimes we're in the afternoon.
Right.
But we gotta, always keep that energy up, no matter what it is. Speaking of energy, speaking of growth and growing, this is the Grow Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode. We're thrilled that you are here. I'm joined by a familiar face now. LG 007 Lon Graham is in the house. What's going on?
It's good to be here, Cory. It's good to see you again.
Absolutely. Okay, well, all right. It gets crazy. They go wild here. 2024 now in full effect here.
Yes.
So it's interesting. I'm amazed by the amount of things that are going on. But I want to first, before we even get into today's topic, I want to thank everybody, for the reviews. Our reviews are going up. The stats are starting to look good.
Yes.
People are enjoying and they're sticking.
Right.
Because, we can, obviously you track that stuff, but we can track through our, podcasting software, just the amount of people who have signed up to get the regular drop. So when we drop the episode, the notifications,
Okay.
kind of the opt-in listeners. So all that is going in the right direction. And I just want to take a moment and thank everybody, particularly people who have been sharing the podcast
Yes.
As it comes out and sharing. Not every topic may hit home for you, but what's for sure is, we want you to be entertained. I don't know why Lon's laughing already, but we want you to be entertained with just real world situations. I mean, we want to have good information that is curated. I say this over and over again because neither of us are trying to be or purporting. We're not trying to be your guru.
Right.
We're not trying to be your influencer or anything like that. It's really just using the platform that we have available to us to share some information and some stories and some life lessons and some things that come from all different directions. I mean, I've shared a lot of stuff here that people who've known me a long time are like, I didn't know that story. I didn't know about that. And I think that's all also being in kind of a comfort zone. I don't want to overuse the word safe space like people say, but just like in a comfort zone that like, you know what? I'm just going to tell it. I'm just going to tell it. It's not all perfect.
No.
It's not all perfect. It's not all great. But and what I love is, I know you've been getting some of the feedback that I'm getting also is just, keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
This, hey, I never thought about something that way, or that was a really good point, or I had forgotten that, or I didn't know you went through, man, it was like you were the one I love the most is, no, it's not funny. You're always ready to laugh.
No,
the
good,
one I
though.
love most is, Cory, when you were talking about that, or even you, I mean, you've got some great points. People are really excited about you on the podcast too. That I felt like you were talking to me.
Yeah.
When you said X.
Yes.
Right. When you guys were talking about this or the other, or when Lon shared this point, or you shared this point, I felt like for that moment you were talking to me.
Yeah.
And I think that is so cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being here with us, and thank you to those who come back, and thank you to those who are here for the first time. We hope you will come back.
Yeah, absolutely. We love that. So today's topic, because as you know, if you have been listening for a while, now he's laughing.
Now
again.
you know why I'm laughing.
If you've been listening for a while, typically 95% of the time, Lon has no idea what we're going to talk about. So, and that's part of the theme, right? So because we want that brain trust, right? So I mean, we've got hard information. I have, hard tactical pieces of information here, but we don't know the topic. He doesn't know the topic. And he came in this afternoon. He's like, oh, all right. He took a shot at it. You did take a shot at it. Like, oh, what are we talking about today? I'm like, oh, you'll find out in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Go sit down.
You'll find out when we get started.
Exactly. So I am going to reveal today's topic. Today, we are talking about strategic partnerships.
Okay.
Because as we sit in January now,
yes.
Again, a lot of people have done planning already. A lot of people use December to do their planning or Q4 to do their whatever. A lot of people do. A lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people get into January and now start having that conversation. What do I want to do differently? What do I want to target? What did I leave behind? And for a lot of people, as they think about grow and growth,
Right.
my YouTubers see me pointing at the word grow here. They start thinking about how does that happen, right? So intellectually we go, yes, I want to grow this year. I want to have a bigger business or more profitable business. Maybe you don't want more clients or customers, whatever you may refer to them as. You want to do more revenue. Maybe you want to increase your profit margins on the work that you're doing. So many times, as I've said before, we throw around terms like, self-made, and we throw around terms, we were all taught as kids not to talk to strangers and some of those weird realities now. Because, if you're planning to grow this year, chances are, and certainly there's more potential work to be done revenue-wise with your current client base. But if you're looking to grow, chances are it's going to be from people who have never heard of you right now or today.
Right. Well, and those protective measures that we were taught when we were kids are no longer protective when we're trying to grow a business. I mean, they actually
need strangers.
They get in the way. You need people that don't know you today.
So we're doing the podcast. Hello. Hello, people.
Exactly.
Ooh, hold on. me. We don't want to lose listeners.
No,
all right.
But that's the reality of it is you have to get out in front of people that don't know you. You have to introduce yourself or get introduced to people that don't know you. Because if you want to grow your business, the people that are going to buy or help you grow your business are the people that haven't met you yet.
Right. And partnerships is going to be a key way because it gives you an opportunity to not only enhance your offerings, right? Whether that's now maybe folding someone else's products and services into your mix, expanding your reach, mutual benefits. So we're going to talk about some tips today. I'm not going to say the number of tips depending on how time goes because we always end up with part 2s, 3s, 4s, all that stuff when I say the numbers, but we're going to get through.
I was going to say,
tips.
if we keep it to single digits, we got a shot, except we had a 7 item episode that we broke into 2 because we just,
that was a 2-parter. That's right.
To dig in deep. So,
well, the good news is we're in control of this ship, right? So if that's the case, we'll do it, but that's not the plan. The plan is to have this conversation about strategic partnerships. Now, what happens is other things come up, like what I'm getting ready to say now. So I want to get some bad news out of the way.
Okay.
First. So I've gotten a couple emails.
Okay.
I've talked about coaching many times on the show.
Yes.
I've talked about our coaching program many times on the show. So I got a few emails because the coaching program is no longer on my website. It's no longer available on the website. So I want to get the bad news out of the way that we are that is our coaching program is closed.
Okay.
So obviously if you're in, we continue to love you. If it's something that you had not reached out about or had not made a decision on at this point, we do not have it on the website. We have closed the coaching piece based on the amount of people, but also some other things that we ultimately have to make room for inside the organization for this year.
Sure.
So I didn't want anybody. So that's that. Okay. I want to get that out of the way. But we want to continue to create resources, create opportunities, use this format to share information and still create a learning exchange, even if we don't have the ability to do it inside of our formal program.
Yeah. So you're a doctor that's taking no more new patients.
Yes, I guess you can look at it
The
that way.
coaching doctor is no longer accepting new patients.
That's one way to look at it. So, okay. Now, we're talking about strategic partnerships.
Yes.
And I think there's a couple ways for people to be thinking about this.
Okay.
Right? I think one is really determining what are some things that are natural extensions for the business that you provide already.
Okay.
And I think, we'll come up with some examples here, have some examples, but I want to start kind of with a clear point, which is looking at objectives and expectations. Okay. So understanding what type of partnership would make sense and what does that look like? Because I think part of it is, now, if you have the luxury of working with someone in the business community that you can have a brainstorm with, then that's great. But if you are talking about pursuing a partnership or strategic partnership alliance, whatever word you want to use, with someone you don't have a relationship already, my advice here is that you have your plan already in place.
Yeah.
You don't want to brainstorm with someone you don't have a relationship with already, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% right, because if you don't go into a new relationship without a clear understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, it's easy to either get lost or to get taken advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a confidence loss. Right? Oh, hey, Lon, we're both you're in commercial, you have a commercial cleaning business. I have a residential. Maybe we could partner.
Right.
Right? I don't know. I mean, I was just kicking around some ideas. Maybe we can meet, see what that looks like. I don't think that is confidence, but right. That doesn't make, to me, I don't think that gets you excited.
Correct.
Because there's no real plan about it.
Doesn't make that person that you're going to feel good about doing business with you or about referring to you or from you.
Right. And I think also you want to have an opportunity to make that case in a what's in it for them way. People have come to me with different ideas or wanting to partner or JV, as they say, joint venture, do these different things. And Cory, it'd be great if we could get in front of your audience.
Right.
It'd be great if we could get in front of your clients. We could help them with XYZ by getting in front of your clients.
Right.
Right. That's not really a what's in it, and then we can do a revenue share. That's not necessarily exciting to me.
Right.
To see who I can expose. Because for us, a lot of times our clients expect the conversation we're having with them to be tangible, and people have to be reputable. They have to be vetted. There's a lot of processes to just bring somebody into our client base, right? So many people are like, "Oh, I can make you a lot of money, or I can make you more money for if we can get in front of your audience." Right. And I think that's the wrong approach. What is your thought about that?
Well, I think you're 100% right, Cory. I think what happens is it. If you go to somebody with a good idea, but you don't have a way for them to benefit from that conversation or that relationship or that referral resource or however you want to describe it or set it up, what you're saying to them is I want you to expose your clients to me. And like you said, somebody would come to you with a great idea for your clients. Maybe. Right. But as a business owner and as somebody who's in a recurring business where you do business with your clients on a recurring basis, you have a responsibility to protect your clients.
Right.
You have a responsibility to filter out the noise for them. And so just bringing something to them doesn't protect them. And it actually can diminish the value of the work that you're doing by bringing somebody in that doesn't have like a real benefit for the business that you're doing together.
Yeah, because most of those times I see it beneficial for them, particularly if you're a, startup business and you don't have clients.
Right.
Well, of course, you want to find somebody who has the clients that you want people you want to do business with and go, oh, well, great. We could just partner. Well, I don't understand the value prop.
Right.
Oh, well, I'm really great at what I do.
Great.
Okay. Wait, you said you don't have any clients.
Right, exactly.
So how do I know that, already? Right. So, excuse me. I think that was always one of the interesting things in the automotive space, doing training and traveling, doing training and a lot of the speaking work that we were doing is I would get people to come up to me all the time. So, oh man, I'd love to do what you're doing. Are you hiring? I'd love to go. I can go out on the road for you and I can do training and I can do this and I can do that. I said, well, can you sell something?
Right.
I mean, can you sell stuff? Right. Can you sell?
Right.
And then I could send you out on a thing. I'm sure, of course, you'd love to do this part. This is fulfillment.
Right.
Right. Fulfilling the deal in a lot of ways, a lot easier than finding the deal and selling the deal.
Well, yeah.
Because no one ever came up to me and said, you know what, I'd love to help you sell your products and services and go on the road selling products and services for you. Right. I want to make you a ton of money, and I'm expected to make a lot of money myself.
Right.
That was never the question. Mm-mm. So there was a shortage of that. There was no shortage of people who were going to be trainers or who, would gladly take our credit card and travel, and book their flights and have all that covered and have everything paid for and go there and use our material and wax poetic on our material, then come back home. Like no problem there.
Right.
And have the steak dinner, have their per diem every day while they're traveling. All of you know, you were on the road.
I understand. Absolutely.
So, but it was always, so I think, the encouragement here, right, is to have a what's in it for them factor when you start thinking about partnerships. Because the obvious is the obvious. It's obvious if you and I are doing business together and it's complementary, which is the next thing I want to talk about, identifying complementary strengths.
Yes.
That's already a given, right? I'm making the suggestion, of course, because it's an opportunity to make more money or increase revenue.
Correct.
For me, but that should be for you. I need to lead with the for you. Because if I can get that part going, I think we've got a greater opportunity.
Well, and a great way to do that, going straight to the execution piece of it, is if you have a great idea where you want to, again, partnership is the word, right? So partnership, it doesn't mean that it's equally beneficial,
right?
But it's mutually beneficial.
Yes, that's good.
It doesn't, because what happens is if you go to them and say, if we work together, you're going to be able to do more of this with and for your clients.
Right.
Boom, that person's immediately interested in having that conversation.
Right. If they're smart.
Well, true.
Right. I mean, and I so smart. I don't know if that's fair, right? Smart, but
if they're willing to to grow their business,
yes, because there's a lot of arrogance,
right?
Some people are coming off great years,
right?
I mean, I talked to a lot of people that said, this year so, but I talked to several friends, colleagues, people, just in social. I'll take it with a grain of salt because everybody's doing well on social, but. That have said, you know what, we really had a record breaking year. This was a standout year. We this was fantastic, man. If 2024 can just be like 2023,
right,
it's going to be great.
Yay!
Right? So right. I forgot to acknowledge Willie H is in the house. Willie H, acknowledge yourself. Yeah. All right, we're only 20 minutes in, but listen, if you're watching this, 99.9%, you wouldn't be watching it if Willie H wasn't behind the board.
100%. So
so we shout out to him always.
Right.
But there's an arrogance that sets in, right? I don't need you, you need me.
Right.
Right. So if you have that kind of attitude, of course, then no. And there's people that I've reached out to that I've said, I think there's a good collaboration here.
Right.
I think here's what we bring to the table. And I think how this would work. Just what I'm saying, the advice I'm saying, right? And there's been crickets. So it's not like, go ahead, hit it. What is it?
Yeah.
That's what
gosh.
Well, we're going to be bringing you more sound effects in 2024.
As we continue to grow.
Yes, we continue to grow. We're going to grow the sound effect and frequency of that. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. So there's an arrogance factor there. Bill Gates says success is a menace. It convinces smart people that they can't lose.
Ah.
Yeah. I think that deserves something. Willie H. The church should say amen on that one. Woo. When the church say amen.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get them quicker. We're going to get them quicker on these.
Well, it's early in the year.
It's early in the year, right?
Our cadence
Shake the rust off.
That's exactly right.
All right. So defining objectives, look at identifying complementary strengths.
Okay.
And then this is an interesting one. So this idea of establishing mutual trust and communication.
Okay.
So that sounds like an obvious one, but I think the question is, I'm gonna throw it to you.
All right.
Because you just heard it 3 seconds ago, and I like to put you on the hot seat. What are your thoughts on how do you establish mutual trust and communication?
Well, I think you have to start it, right? And I have this saying, if you want to,
don't start none, won't be none. Static.
There you go.
That's not what you had.
No one was going to say.
Shout out to James Brown. You teed it up.
Oh, yes,
don't start none,
right?
Won't be
Exactly.
none. Static.
But
static.
Did I tell you?
Go ahead.
That
you have a James Brown story?
I do have a James Brown story.
Oh.
When I was a freshman at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
James Brown was living in Atlanta.
Oh, interesting.
But he came to homecoming the year that I was a freshman and did the entire first half with the cheerleaders. He had black pants and a red shirt on and was doing cheers and doing his James Brown for the entire first half.
He was famous already.
Oh, he was James Brown.
Oh, okay.
He was all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. Everybody knew who James Brown was.
Huh.
And he was doing his best James Brown with the cheerleaders at the University of Georgia at homecoming.
For the whole game?
For the first half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
How about that?
There's an LG story
There's always
somewhere.
Something. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's like reaching in the box of the Lucky Charm and pull out a prize. There's always something there. So now the question is, do you remember your thought?
You know what I was going to say?
Okay, go ahead.
What I was going to say is this, is that so establishing trust
Yep.
in this communication with a strategic partner as you develop that.
Okay.
You have to start by demonstrating your willingness to be trusted. You have to start by being able to be trusted. Because if you're initiating this conversation, if you're initiating the possibility of this partnership, you have to say, here's what I'm willing to do if there's value in it for both of us. And give them an opportunity to see that what you are willing to do is be in a genuine relationship that's going to benefit both people. And if you're worried or concerned about the person's intentions, there is no incentive for that person to work with you.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think also, I think history, history also plays a role. What's someone's history? Now in the age of the internet, right? You can quickly, if you go deep enough, you could kind of see who is, the real deal. And I think it's important to qualify that, right? So your body of work, not you being perfect, right? Or having executed everything perfect. In business, particularly, as in life, some things don't go the way you planned. Right. Some, and that's where I think that communication is very important.
Well, you got to be able to call somebody and say, hey, look, I either didn't do what I said I was going to do, or this isn't going to happen the way we expected it to happen. Right. And in that situation, though, the way that you earn credibility is two things. One is to acknowledge it first, and then two, coming at it with a solution. I didn't fulfill what I said I was going to be able to fulfill. You can figure out the excuses later. Solve the problem first. Right. And so because things happen, we're all human. Right. Nobody's 100%. Right. And so when a problem comes up, and that's part of what you're talking about, establishing trust and confidence in the communication, right? Can I trust you to tell me that it's not going to be exactly what we expected? Right. Can I trust you to give me enough information so that I can do what I need to do to protect the people that I'm supposed to take care of? Yeah.
Yeah. And, I this is one of those moments where it's also like, it's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough. This is a business podcast. So, our listeners should be business owners or entrepreneurs or people considering business, just that thing. It's just tough. And that just gets skipped over. Right. There's times when you want to meet obligations that you can't. Right. For a variety of reasons. Right. I can think of those scenarios.
I've got lots of them.
And you have situations where, and what I don't like to see is people, and it makes you cognizant of, I don't like to see people get indicted in that way, right? From a personal end because of business, right? Because intention, now I find out. Now listen, someone invests, you invest $1 million in somebody's business, and then you see them in Bora Bora, right? And you're not getting your investment payment, back. Then and they're like, oh, I'm short. Okay, well, that's, you bought a gold toilet and there's a Ferrari outside. Right. Now, there's some things that, but listen, business didn't move fast enough. Things didn't go the way that you thought. Right. Deals didn't come in the way they said. Because there's a layer of, everybody's dealing with some kind of challenge no matter where they are in their business.
That's correct.
So I want to just I want to just send that message as we're talking about partnerships and we're talking about things like communication and mutual trust, and send that message to say that, challenges in your business do not make you, that's not a personal indictment.
No, definitely not.
And I think it's important for people to just understand it, because people also, the smaller the business, particularly when you start talking about like sole proprietors, where everything is personal. Yes. And I've had to look at things inside a smaller environment and go, man, I can't beat myself up. I'm doing everything that I should be doing, or I'm trying to do everything I can to do right. I can't beat myself up personally.
Right.
Because you know who doesn't beat themselves up personally? The corporations when they go bankrupt.
Right.
I just read a little while ago that that scooter company, that I can't remember the name.
I know what you're talking about.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about?
too, yeah.
That had all the little electric Bird. Yeah, Bird. Thanks, Willie. That Bird scooters just went bankrupt, filed for bankruptcy. So I don't even know who that CEO is. But here's what I'm going to guess, and I'm not whatever. I don't know how personally that executive team is taking it.
Right.
Like somebody at some point is going, and I know there's investors, there's other people, right? There's risk in investment, but I don't think that executive team is like, man, I'm going to give myself an ulcer. I'm going to go jump. I can't speak for them,
Right.
but I just feel like, but this happens every day. Bed Bath & Beyond, a company that was like 70 years old, ran itself into the ground because it missed opportunities, didn't capitalize on things, had crappy looking stores, didn't change the shelf, didn't remodel, they still use price guns. I've never even seen that, Lon.
Right.
Price guns? Who's doing that?
It's been a while.
So that's not a small boutique. What major company? It's got hundreds of retail locations is doing it. But guess what? The WeWork guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's in bankruptcy. That guy walked away with hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
He's not losing any sleep in his Malibu beach house. I'm assuming he's got a Malibu beach house. But so my point is, and I'm just saying this because this is one of those times, particularly in a month like January, where you're reflecting on your last year, or you're setting intention for this year, or you're starting something. Somebody right now is filing with the state a new LLC. They've got a dream that they're going to go after. They set a resolution. They said, this is the year. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to sit on it. Life's too short. They watched all the Goalcast videos online that gave them all these scenarios. I watched a video the other day where a guy pulled out a measuring tape, or it was a piece of paper. But it was like a piece of paper that folded down. And he said, this here represents your lifespan.
Oh, wow.
Right? From 0 to whatever the average age is, 83.
Okay.
So he says, I'm 67.
Okay.
So he tore off the bottom.
Right.
He said, I tore off the bottom. So that's gone already.
Right.
Okay. And then I don't know what's going to happen here. So if I get lucky, he tore off another part that eliminated the top end.
Right.
So, and then finally this long slither became this. So this is what I realistically have left.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm not going to spend that time fooling around and not trying to be happy, not trying to go for it, not trying to live my life.
Right.
So you've watched all those videos and those things get you fired up and you're like, oh, this is it.
Right.
So you have to have the right mindset. And I know we're supposed to be talking about partnerships, but this is important. You have to have that mindset going in.
Right.
That things happen.
Yes.
Things are going to happen that you don't expect.
Right.
But if you can't mentally, you've got to train your brain. There's plenty of great books on this topic. There's exercises this way. You've got to train yourself to be able to separate those two things.
100%. And the reality of it is when people personalize the outcome of the business and they make it because you're going back to that one person business or a small 2 or 3 person business. They have this idea. They do everything they possibly can. And sometimes, there are mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Sure.
We're all human.
Or things just don't go well.
Or you do everything right.
Someone said yes.
Right.
Someone said, I will buy and didn't buy. Someone said, this is going to happen and we're going to do this. And you made decisions based on these other things.
Right.
And they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And now you maybe can't do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So like, I just think that's important. The frame, my 5 pillars, the number one pillar is mindset,
yes.
right? Of my 5 pillars. So I think that's just important. All right. I don't get too far off the off the reservation, but it does all go together.
Ties together
100%. because you're going to you may go into a partnership with the best intentions.
Right.
And then the other person doesn't perform.
Correct.
Right? And that may not make them a bad person.
Correct.
That may be the product or service, the alignment you thought, the slam dunk you thought, the no-brainer you thought, this is going to be magic.
Yes.
And then it's not magic. People didn't want to add on that product or service, or they didn't want to, just because this piece was successful, right? Just because you added the ice cream shop to the donut shop didn't mean the ice cream shop was going to be successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
So identifying complementary strengths also, so that you have a little bit of a yin and yang, kind of scenario.
Yes.
Now that could be business partnerships, but also could be partnerships. Like I think, you think about fitness, right? So
right.
I have a juice shop. You have a gym. That might be a good strategic partnership.
Yes.
Right? To carry my product, to carry my juice products,
right.
or to promote fitness, or to even what you're seeing now at the corporate level. Because I love a lot of small business owners need to pay attention. You can't do everything potentially a corporation can do.
Correct.
But you certainly can look at some of the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
So what do you got? You got all these big commercial people that have space.
Right.
They're folding their business. Sunglass Hut, going inside of Macy's.
Right.
Right. That's a strategic partnership.
Right.
Sephora now inside Kohl's.
Right.
So could I set up a mini juice bar?
Right.
Inside your gym.
Yeah.
As gym revenue.
Right.
And as a and to release some of the burden maybe of having my own freestanding shop.
Well, and it exposes people that wouldn't necessarily be exposed to your product.
And it's complimentary, right? Now I don't want to open the milkshake joint inside the gym. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
So, we're slinging cheesesteaks here after the workout, come carved back up. Right. So you want that complementary, right? Those strengths.
Correct.
Trust, communication, win-win situation, which we started talking about. So, making sure you're creating a beneficial aspect. And as you said, sometimes it's not always going to be 50-50 per se, but you don't necessarily need it to be 50-50 for it to be successful.
Well, here's the reality of it. Very rarely is mutually beneficial equally beneficial. And the reason that is because if you need somebody else to contribute to what you're doing,
right,
it means that they're doing something you're not. And if you're working together and you're building a partnership, it means you're doing something they're not either.
Right.
But they may be bigger than you and have more access to you than you do. So they're going to ask more of you in this partnership. Right. That's okay. And sometimes people get caught up, and this is the cautionary tale about strategic partnerships. Sometimes people get caught up, and I think that there's an ego component to this. Well, I'm not getting as much as you are from this relationship. Well, are you getting more than you would have got if you didn't have this relationship?
Correct.
So don't get lost in equally beneficial.
Yeah.
And don't think that mutually beneficial has to be equal. And
strategic partnerships do not mean 50-50 partnerships.
Correct.
A strategic partnership is not the same.
That is correct.
Right? Liberty Mutual is in a strategic partnership with BMW.
Okay.
Right? They're not partners, but if you buy BMW, you're going to get solicited by Liberty Mutual.
Okay.
That says, hey, we've got a program. You get this, and this as a BMW driver, right? We have special rates for you. That's a strategic partnership.
Correct.
That's not a partnership.
Right.
The other thing that I think is important that wasn't on my list here, but it's very personal for me to think about as a message is limelight and spotlight. I spent a number of years behind the scenes.
Correct.
Running programs that people to this day never know I was involved in.
Right.
I didn't need to be at the front.
Okay.
I didn't need it to be, no, you're gonna have to let people know that I've developed this program and that I'm running this program.
Right.
I didn't just send me to ACH.
Right. That's
right. So, but a lot of people aren't prepared. A lot of people will go into a strategic partnership. Our logos need to be next to each other.
Right.
And this needs to be powered by my company, or we need to have, a joint press release, or we need to XYZ, right? People need to know I'm involved. So I would just encourage people also not to make that the main thing.
That's the ego component, right? And that's where you have to really decide why you're getting in this partnership. Are you getting into this strategic partnership because you want to elevate yourself?
Right.
Or you want to elevate your business?
Yes.
And so if you're elevating your business, then make decisions. So it goes back to what you said in the very beginning.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk to somebody that you don't know about a strategic partnership, have a very clear plan of what you want to accomplish and the benefits to both of you for being in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. William, that deserves something. I don't know what you got over there, man. I don't know. Come up with a clap or something. Come on. Guy is tight on the buttons.
He's raised the bar. We have to get better.
Yeah, with tight. He's like, don't want to hit no buttons over there. He's looking at me like, oh, I don't think that should hit a button.
Right, exactly.
What, you don't think it deserves? You don't think that was breakthrough? That was, I don't know. You didn't say, you don't talk much. Is that by design?
What did you just say about being behind the scenes?
Yeah, behind it. Yeah, right. Listen, I want to give him some shot.
Right, give him some.
Well, the only way I'm going to get the buttons pushed is if I encourage. Right now we're at that point where I got to be like, push the button, please.
The only way you get the limelight is if he gets the spotlight. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Right. All right. So this is good. That was good. Now, we talked about having the plan, having mutual benefit. What's in it for them? A strategic partnership is not necessarily a 50-50 partnership. Having a clear agreement, right?
Yes.
So understanding roles and responsibility. Okay, we're going to do this. Well, now what does that look like?
Correct.
So now it's not late. Okay, you're going to put my business in every email that you send out promotionally. Correct. Right? We're going to track that back and we're going to do a revenue share. But you're going to have to send out, 3 emails a month at minimum. Right. Or you're agreeing to do X, Y, and Z. Or I'm going to have a display inside your storefront that promotes this. So it's having that clear agreement at that point. Because a lot of people get into the handshake deals. Right. Like Jerry Maguire, my handshake is strong as oak until he went with Bob Sugar. Right? That's right. Yeah, it wasn't that strong. I forget what character that was that played the daddy. But having clear agreement is important.
It's very important. Let's go back to the example that you used a little bit earlier, the BMW Liberty Mutual example. Yep. I would expect that they have it clearly written that every time somebody buys a BMW, here's what you have access to. Right. And then it's up to, and then Liberty Mutual's commitment in that is we will follow up with every BMW client, every new BMW purchaser, new BMW owner, that this is what we will do. Right. We will send them an email. We will send them a letter. We will give them some form of communication that introduces them to the benefit of buying that BMW and what it gives them access to at Liberty Mutual. And so that's a clear example that we recently talked about of describing what you're describing. Not only how are you going to execute it, but what can each partner in this relationship expect once it's been done? Right. So if I'm going to turn over a client to you as a referral, for example, let's say we have a referral-based strategic partnership, you're going to make some commitments to me about what you do when you get that referral and how we're going to handle that and how we're going to communicate back and forth with it. Right. Like, how do I get to know without having to chase you down? Hey, what happened to so-and-so? Correct. There's a line of communication that goes back to developing that trust. Yeah, I think
that's more of a referral. I mean, that's completely valid. Right. I think that's more defined if you're in some type of referral environment than if you've got a real intertwined scenario. Sure. But no, I mean, completely valid. But I'm thinking more in terms of, we're now carrying so-and-so's coffee at our donut shop, right? Yes. Like so now that's math, right? You're tracking that, what you're ordering, that type of thing. Correct. But having that communication. But no, completely valid point, particularly, and that's also, that's going to be that should be another good episode, really, how to properly do referrals and how to engage in referral activity, and maybe even talk about some lessons learned from some associations that are in that space, like some of their best practices. So correct. So gives them another reason to stay tuned for sure. Exactly right. All right. Strategic partnerships. Investing in relationship building. This is an interesting one because a lot of times people just focus. To me, I think there's a lot of times I talk about multiple ends of the spectrum, right? Okay. Sometimes the far end of the spectrum is, Lon, I have to be completely in line with everything about you and all these things for us to do business. And then the other side of that spectrum is you've got a good deal, I've got a good deal, let's make a deal and make some money, right? That's very loose. And the other one is like can be too rigid, far to the other side. Yeah. Rigid, so like the middle ground to me is taking the time to understand though the cultures, the value, what are the long-term goals for the people that you are doing business with and that you might enter into a partnership with, but also be involved.
Yes.
You know, I want to, we had a lot of Christmas parties this past year. If I have a strategic partner, I want to be out there and support their team.
Right.
I want them at my, stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
To further that relationship.
Well, and I think, I keep using the term parallel lanes, right? I think you want people that are going in the same direction, that have the same intentions and have the same ideas. You don't have to agree on everything, because if you do, you'll never get anything done.
Right.
But you have to have a good understanding of who that person is and what they're trying to accomplish, and who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Because again, you have a responsibility to your clients. We'll go back to what you said in the very beginning. Who am I exposing my clients to?
Right.
And so it's important to understand who these people are and find a place that aligns with who you are. You don't want them to be, if you're on one end of the spectrum and they're on the other, that doesn't make sense. And that's not fair to your clients, because they want you to endorse.
If your values are super different, those
100%, yeah.
So you could have everything could be lined up great, but if even how you would handle a beef or a customer issue, whatever you want to call it politely, a customer miscommunication, throw them out. Like I get a lot of flack because a lot of times I favor chains when I travel.
Okay.
So if you're in this great town. Did you go to check out so-and-so spot? I'm like, no, I went to a chain.
Right.
I'm like, well, why? I'm like, well, because I've been in mom and pop restaurants, and if you have a problem, they just throw you out. I mean, we've got a restaurant around the area. It's known. This restaurant is known. If you have beef, they just tell you get out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like soup Nazi.
Okay.
Right? You don't like it? What was wrong with it? No, it's just fine. Oh, it's a little salty. No, it's not. Like, they're gonna argue it. Like you're gonna argue with you. You know, there's nobody to call. I like to call people. I like to be able to call the corporate office. There's just something about calling the corporate office that can make you feel good.
You want to be validated.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I want some coupons, right? I want some vouchers. You can't get a voucher. So I completely forgot my train of thought on where I was going with
somewhere
this.
on the spectrum of being completely aligned and just
okay, now thank you for bringing that back. It was about values, right?
Correct.
So if I'm doing a partnership and the values, let's say the values of that person is thrown out.
Right.
And versus, you know what, let's give them their money back. Let's give them the product back. Let's give them, we're going to give them a full refund. They can keep the product or whatever it is. Right. That's a value. Oh, I'm not doing that. We're going to lose money.
Right.
I'm not going to let one bad decision, right? But what I don't want is 32 bad. I don't want a bad review for no reason or something I could avoid.
Correct.
And many times people get short-sighted, particularly when they're in decision-making authority.
Right.
Furthermore, particularly when it is a mom and pop business.
Right.
I've seen that even with car dealers.
Interesting. Okay.
I remember it was just source I'm sitting here and it's 15 years ago, but I remember a situation where a dealership sold a car that was as is, clearly marked as is. It was a $3,000 car.
Okay.
Which means the dealer probably owned it for about $500.
Okay.
Or nominal amount.
Right.
And it was as is, sold the car to the guy, and literally like a few days later, the car like blew up.
Mm.
So the logical thing to do here on a car that I own for $500 is to just give the person their money back.
Okay.
When I sell hundreds of cars and I make a fair amount of more than a fair amount of money.
I'm profitable.
Yeah, I'm profitable.
Okay.
So the right thing to do in that situation, because this isn't a $100,000 issue.
Right.
This is my cost is $500.
Right.
Now I got to get a tow truck. It's cost me a few more dollars. A drop in the bucket. That's the coffee bill for the service department.
Right.
No, we're going to argue with the customer. We're going to tell them that's as is. Can you read? Did you not read the label? Right. This is not what as is. Why? Now the customer's threatening to come up there with a bat. You're going to put the safety. People are crazy nowadays.
Right.
So people are, he's got something. He's got a button.
That's just dumb.
Yeah, there it is. He was
good.
ready. That was great.
There you go.
That was good. Hit
Good
it one
job.
more time in case they didn't hear
That's
it.
just dumb.
Yeah,
Right.
that's just dumb. And it
is.
just really is. But what that was, because I had the conversation with the owner, I'm like, this is a no-brainer.
Right.
insert person's name. No, they're not going to tell me what I'm going to do with my name's on the building. They're not going to demand what I'm going to do. If I want to help them, I'll do it. That was all ego. That was all
100%.
bravado.
Right. 100%.
So to spite them, FYI, if you're buying a $3,000 car, cash, and that's all your money, dude, I mean, who do you think you did? He's not getting his lawyer involved. He's not. Right. He's not calling Thurston to represent him. I mean, chances are, right? That's that's a lot of money needed. Try to rely on transportation. So right. He's got his finger on the button. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, look, he's kidding. This is good. Go. So I'm just making that. I'm just making a point. Don't be short-sighted with that behavior. So that's a value statement.
Correct.
Right. So. You're in that partnership, and now you got somebody who's going to go off the handle or going to act and behave with customers or employees,
right, in
a way that doesn't necessarily fit your belief system or missions or values.
Yeah, 100%, and that's a good thing to talk about when you're establishing a partnership, right? That's a good thing to discuss up front.
Yeah,
and it's part of going back to the very first thing that you said, and usually the first thing is the most important thing, is have a very clear understanding and expectation of what you're trying to accomplish and how you want to go about it. Because if you're just brainstorming,
right,
you may come up with some ideas, but you're not going to come up with all the ideas. So have a very clear, and these are some things that for the people that are listening to this, that are considering partnerships, strategic partnerships going into the new year, this is really a good checklist for you of things to use.
I like it.
As you prepare yourself. Okay, who do I want to work with, and what are the things that I need to consider when I think about that?
Let me give you the last one now.
Okay.
Because we said all of that.
Right.
One key thing to consider, because we did all the planning, we got alignment, we got what's in it for them. We did all that stuff. We've got an agreement in place. All these things are happening.
Right.
The last one to leave you with, though, is to be adaptable and flexible. So we set all these intentions.
Right.
We're 3 months in, we're 4 months in. Maybe it didn't go the direction we wanted it to go, or maybe things aren't happening. Have to be adaptable and flexible. We've launched some partnerships.
Right.
That we were like, this makes a lot of sense. These are our people.
Right.
This should be a good inroads. We're giving some value to some brand exposure and some value to that company.
Right.
And I have to mark this E if I curse, so I won't. But they pooped the bed.
Right.
People can imagine. Then we stay clean here.
Right.
And they didn't do what they said they were going to do. They didn't deliver. They had internal issues. Employees quit. People left. All these other things, and they didn't deliver on the strategic partnership.
Right. And
we had to adapt.
Well, we had to adapt, and it goes back to right. We created an opportunity for an out for sure.
Right.
But going back to what you said too, is things changed in their business. So when they entered into the agreement with us, their business looked different than it did a month later.
Right.
And so now we're dealing with different people. We're dealing with different circumstances. Their business was changing and evolving. So to your point, as a person in the partnership, we needed to be willing to adapt as well.
Right.
And so we finally just said, this isn't working.
Correct.
And we gave her. So part of the willingness to adapt is give both parties an opportunity to get out.
Right. Well, and be flexible. Maybe the agreement has to change. Maybe there were costs that we didn't anticipate in this arrangement. And now we have to go back and look at those. Like it can't, oh no, well, we had an agreement. So you're just going to now have to lose money on every transaction because we underestimated something.
Right.
So like that, you have to be flexible, not flexible, but you have to be flexible. But that also goes back to being in the spirit of mutual trust and communication and all those things. So
100%. Yeah.
All right. See, we got it done.
We got through it.
And that technically was the list.
Technically.
Yeah. So I didn't say at the beginning it was going to be 5 things or 6 things or 7 things, but we actually did get through all the things that I wanted to get on the list.
Okay.
Plus some extras.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus some extra conversation as you can expect here. So we're going to leave it there. I encourage strategic partnerships when done correctly are very fruitful and can be a very low cost way in particular as we think about, we can always add more, right? So we're gonna have to create a whole new product. We're gonna have to do. There's a lot of costs. Like if you're in manufacturing, like if you sell a physical, oh, Cory, we've got another mug design. Yeah, that's you got to pay for molds. You got to do a lot of things.
Right.
A strategic partnership can be one of the most cost-effective ways to grow sales and to create new opportunities inside your organization.
100%. And it expands your capacity for new clients.
Yeah.
Because you can introduce some things with a strategic partnership that may attract somebody that you wouldn't have been able to attract without it.
That's right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you, as always, LG007, the voice of reason. Also the voice of reason. We're going to need to get that as a sound bite.
That was a sound bite too.
Yeah, this has been another great episode. And I think a lot of great feedback. I think we're going to continue our mission to help people and have impact and help people grow. And like I said at the beginning, we appreciate your continued listenership. If you've got some positive feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. If you don't like the podcast, keep it to yourself. That's what I generally like to say. Well, you'll just stop listening. But we appreciate all the love and support for us to keep doing what we're doing here, and on our way to celebrate episode 100, as far as I'm concerned. So keep listening, keep watching. If you're watching us on YouTube or on CoryMosley.com, growwithcory.com. We've got some new outlets I don't think I had mentioned yet, which is iHeartRadio now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And also Radio Republic. So now we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon, we're on Google, iHeart, and Radio Republic. Plus, you can catch us, streaming online and on YouTube as well. So
that's fantastic.
We're going to continue to grow, put out good content, and we appreciate you. Like, share, comment, review. 5 stars only, just like an Uber ride. I'm Cory Mosley, and you are
LG007.
LG007. This has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast. We'll see you next time. Flexible, adaptable. Mix it. Get him mixing. Mixing.
Check you out bringing the James Brown out of nowhere.
All things are possible.
That's exactly right.